everyone. I hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another episode of Einstein Certification Series. I'll be talking a little bit more about dashboards today. A few more stuff. It won't be a longer session like last time, so because we covered most of the widgets in the last time, right? The first thing first, you need to log into an org. If you haven't registered for one, I would highly encourage you to do so because it is very important that you do hands-on, right? Cool. Okay, so I've logged into my org, as you can see. So go to Einstein Analytics Studio, and we'll take you to the screen, right? And we're gonna work on the same same dashboard which we created last time. So if you remember something like this, we have done last time. If you haven't attended my previous lecture, I would highly encourage you to please to do so, because I won't be explaining what I've done here again because I've already talked about it in detail, right? And yeah, so it's a continuation of the previous lecture, in other words. Okay, so we talked about the chart, right? And we talked about filters. We talked about toggle component. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add a table component here, right? At times, what happens, right? Chart gives you very good indication of your data in the form of a graphical user interface, which is great. But if you wanted to drill down to a raw level information, it's good to have a table component, right? So you can see that in a table form, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to edit this component, edit this dashboard. And you can see that on the left hand side, we got chart, we got this table, right? We're going to drag and drop here. My apologies, it's not a pretty looking dashboard. That being said, I've talked about creating a dashboard from the scratch in one of the Einstein series I've done. I will share that link with you, right? I would highly encourage you to check that out because this will act as a foundation for that lecture, right? Because I've talked about how to use the maps and all kind of stuff, right? So you will enjoy it, I mean, if you watch it, and it will be useful for your certification series as well. Okay, cool. All right, sorry I digress. Okay, so we dropped the, so I dropped a table component here. So I'll click on the table component here, and we're gonna use the same data set, right? So I'm gonna add the amount here, and you're gonna do so I'm gonna delete this the rows, so I'm gonna use so account name, gonna use account type, I'm gonna use stage, right? Pretty straightforward, right? Nothing fancy here. Okay, right? And then we're gonna use its the trail by nah, forget about the trails, don't need it. So just to make it simple, okay, right? So we expand this, okay. Okay, so this is something we have, right? Okay, now go back to this one, okay, here, and I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna remove this stage from here, and I'm gonna add it the stage here. Okay, so this is exactly what I've done. So what I've done in this chart, right? So this is a previous one, right? So I wanted to tweak a bit just to give you what I'm trying to do. So I removed this from a bar and just moved it to the trellis here, right? Okay, so if you wanted to look at the query, right? So what I've done, so you can go here and look at the query here. So you can see that I just did an order by, all this field here, and then you have, so just gonna, let me go here, right? And then I'm gonna use it again. So this is your cycle query. So you can see what the query looks like. So you can even run the query, right? That's pretty much it. So nothing fancy. So if you're after the cycle, you can go here and look at it. So as I said in a previous episode, I'm not going to talk about the cycle. So it's a different episode altogether, right? But if you're curious how the queries behind the scene looks like, so this is something how it is. Okay. So I'm not doing anything fancy stuff here. All I've done was that I've changed the data set, the properties here. I've removed a stage from the bars and added to trellis, right? That's all I've done. Okay, and then I'm gonna save it. Okay, so I'm gonna save it to training data set. That's great. Okay, and then I'm gonna be previewing it. Okay, and then you can see this. It's a closed one, so when you tick it, see it filters it based on that, right? And if you so you can go back and do this by this. See, you can see that it just a second. It filters you based on that, and you can go back. So if you wanted to drill down to the row level detail, you can use the table component. That's how the table component is used. I know that this is not a great example, but you know what I'm trying to do. So if you wanted to see a row level information of this chart, you need to use the table component. So that's how it is. Right, so that's one of the things I wanted to talk about today. Another thing I wanted to talk about, right, the layouts, right? So what happens at times, you won't be using this dashboard using your desktop or a laptop. You might be using it using your mobile phone, right? Or you might be using it using your mobile app, right? So in that case, you need to change your layout to fit the mobile screen, right? So it's pretty straightforward to do that. I'm going to show you how to do it, right? So go here, right? I'm just going to edit it. So you see here we have a default, right? So just go to manage layout, okay? And there's a choose template down, right? You have different options here. You can choose desktop, tablet, phone, custom, right? So for now, let me choose a phone. So I can say phone dashboard, okay? And so yeah, so that's pretty much how I have to name it, right? So this is how it looks like when you preview it in a phone. As you can see that it's not really a pretty looking interface, right? So you can tweak it the way you wanted it, right? So what you can do is that, like, so you can arrange it to look at a little bit better on on a phone interface, right? So probably I can extend it. I can do this something. Okay. No, probably. Right, and I can. Yeah, probably. Okay. Right, and you can use it here if you wanted to extend it. You can extend it, or you can shrink it. You can shrink it. And you can move it to. If you wanted to move it to the right, you can move it to right. The whichever way that makes sense for your mobile layout, right? So you got to figure out that way, right? So now, I mean, I know that it's not a pretty looking screen. I agree that. I mean, but just to give you a context, right? So how to configure stuff if you wanted to take this to a mobile experience. So this is what you get to see when you go to the mobile screen, right? So you're going to save it, okay? And then I'm going to preview it. So this is how it looks like. A little bit better than previous time, right? So you can actually do pretty much all the filtering and kind of stuff here. So these are the toggle components, right? So close one, close lost. So it will give you all information about close lost, right? And then you can set the filters here, right? So you can say if you wanted to say all. If you don't want it to say all, if you wanted to say for UK, you can do that as well, right? So it's pretty interesting and you can see that your the rows changed as well, right, at the bottom. So if you wanted to see, this is where I said the table component comes very handy. So if you wanted to see the information based on a row level, you can use this table component and can see it, right? So let me demonstrate one more thing. So if I put it to say all, right, you see it just, you got lots of information underneath here, right? But if you wanted to see, let's say, only limiting to Australia, you can do that, and you can see there's no information here. Okay, so everything disappeared, right? So let's go back to USA to see if there's, right, we got some information related to United States. So you can see that we have you can drill down to this information to the record level, right? So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about it today, because I think we covered most about related to the dashboard. This is not an advanced topic. This is just an introduction to dashboard and how to use widgets to create a pretty looking dashboard, right? So as you can see, I don't have really a good eye for design. So, so as you can see from my dashboard, like you might say it's ugly looking, right? So, that's not one of my skill sets to, I'm not a designer of, fancy looking interfaces. I can design interface, but it won't be to the great quality, someone is highly specialized on, UI interface design, right? So, yeah, so that being said, this is one way you can do it, and I will share that link of one of the lecture I have videos I've created, I think a few months ago when I was talking about Einstein with machine learning. So one of the last episode I remember I've done, I talked about building a dashboard from scratch, right? So I talked about different components, and so you will get an idea if you wanted to know a little bit more detail about it, right? I'll share a link. I would highly encourage you to check it out. You will enjoy it. I can assure you that. And yeah, and I hope you guys are preparing well for your Einstein certification, if this is what you're trying to do, right? It's a great platform, right? And Salesforce is evolving, and a lot of amazing stuff you can do, right? So yeah, that being said, greetings and adios from New Zealand. Take care.